Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be going over my wrap up for September. I know this is a little behind schedule, but as I've said before, construction, everything's wrapping up. So hopefully moving forward we will be set. So this was a pretty good reading month for me. I did read 10 books and I'm pretty happy with that. Although I feel like I read 11 and I can't think of what the other one was, but we'll stick with 10. It's fine. I'm going to be completely honest. And so at the beginning of September, I got really into a series and I finished that whole series. No problem. But recalling what happened in those books now is going to be a pain. And normally I make notes during it. And I have like it on my phone in the notes section. Well, I deleted that. So we're really winging it. A while back I started the Brutal Birthright series by Sophie Lark. I read the first one in that series, which was Brutal Prince. I think I read that like months ago. And finally I decided to pick up the rest. Actually I read, I think that one and the first one. And then I finished the rest of the series this month, which I think was like 4 books. So we're going to go ahead and go through that first. The Brutal Birthright series. I have books 3, 4, 5, and 6 here. So number 3 is Savage Lover. And this was Camila and Nero's book. And I loved this one. It was kind of like Fast and Furious meets like dark romance in a way. This one I did rate, I know I rated it 5 stars, and this is probably the one that I'll remember the most from. And everyone in Nero's family basically describes him as like a psychopath who does not have feelings. Like he does not show them, even to really his family. Like he's just kind of like a step away. He only really cares about cars. And then he meets Camila, and she is actually a girl mechanic, and I love that. And she kind of puts him in his place with like cars and stuff. It was really cool. There are some like high-speed chases in this, and overall it like gives kind of Fast and Furious vibes meets dark romance and mafia, and it was just so good. It was addicting to read. So once I read this one, this is what started my kick on the series again. So I was like, okay, we're just gonna finish it. So this one was my favorite of the rest. This one was 5 stars, and then the only other one that I gave 5 stars in the series was Brutal Prince, which is the first book. The 4th book in the series is Bloody Heart. This is what that looks like. And this is Simone and Dante Gallo's book. And this is second chance romance. They dated when they were both young. I think it was like 16 and 18 maybe, or 16 and 17. Basically something happened and Simone kind of, her family takes her away, or she runs away. I don't exactly remember. I think she runs technically away. And it's not until years and years later that they basically meet again, and Dante has to protect her father from somebody who they think is a hitman trying to take him out. And that is kind of how it unfolds. This one was alright. I'm not a huge fan of second chance romance. I don't want to say I'm not a fan of it because it's something in my real life I wouldn't tolerate, because that's completely kind of irrelevant in the book world in a way. Because obviously like murdering people and stuff is also something that you're not okay with. But in a book, you know, it's whatever. The no-goes in books for me are like cheating and second chance romance and surprise baby trope. Like those are all no's for me. This one was okay. For it being a second chance romance and everything like that, I can understand the connection that they had, but something that happened in the book kind of gave me pause and was a little messed up in my opinion. I didn't appreciate it. So this one was only a 3 out of 5 for me. I did enjoy it, and it was still enough for me to continue on and to want to continue on with the series. So next is book 5 in the Brutal Birthright series, which is Broken Vow. This is Riona and Raylan's book, and Riona is in the family that is the mafia family that the series is about, And then Raylan is Dante from the last book. It's his like buddy. I think they were in like the military or something together, and now basically Raylan bodyguards. And so he is hired after some stuff starts happening to her, and he becomes kind of like her bodyguard. And so it's definitely like forced proximity. And I like this one way better than the last one. I thought there was a lot of tension in it, and he takes her to like the countryside to kind of get away for a moment, and you see like a sweeter side and everything like that. I did really enjoy this. I did rate this one 4 stars, and this one was definitely worth it. And then the last one in the series, which is the 6th book, was Heavy Crown. This was Yelena and Sebastian's book. Sebastian is the one that is in the mafia family that is like the whole series is about. But Yelena is also from a mafia family, just one that is on kind of like opposite sides of them. So it is kind of like enemies to lovers. I will say, the last book is where the series really fell for me. There was just so much that I felt like was out of characteristic for how they built up Sebastian, that it just did not I couldn't picture it with him. Like, it felt like it was almost kind of, I don't want to say demolishing his character, but maybe dimming it down. And I don't know. There's some good parts, don't get me wrong. I still rated this 3 out of 5, but out of all the books from the series, I think this was my least favorite one. I am excited though, because I did find out that there is another series that connects with this one, and it's basically the children's books from these. So I will read that series eventually. Probably not right now, okay, but soon. And next up I have my book club pick, but it's the book club pick from August. I just read it at I think September 1st or September 2nd is when I read it, because our book club date got pushed back. So I have The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. And I think I've said this in a previous vlog, that historical like fiction isn't really like my cup of tea or whatever. But I said I really liked Kristen Hanna's writing, surprisingly. And same with this one. Like, I really enjoyed her writing, and I feel like she is able to write about something that would typically not be my cup of tea and kind of like bore me, but like it still somehow keeps me going, and she like pulls interesting details out of it. However, I kept waiting for like more to happen in this compared to the last one I've read of hers, and I felt like nothing really did. And there is like a small little subplot of romance in this, but it wasn't anything crazy, and I feel like almost like as soon as we got like a hint of it, it was kind of like taken away as well. And I don't know, it was okay. It was good. It really like piqued my interest for what it is. So I did rate it 4 stars, and I will continue on with Kristen Hanna books. And then we have the book club read for September. That was actually September's book, which is The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. I love this cover. This is very much kind of like Carrie vibes. It's basically about the first integrated prom for this town that has been kind of stuck in the Stone Ages, and they still keep separate like proms for races. And basically some of the students are like, this is how we're going to show that we're actually like progressing, and they combine the prom. And they still have one separate prom though. So I was like, does this even make sense? And it's very much Carrie because everything happens at the prom. But there is a like heavy focus on race and kind of like these old values that people carry. And oh my gosh, I loved the main character once she started figuring out things in her life. Her name's Maddie, and Maddie's biracial, and basically her family, she only has her dad, and the way he raises her and the details you find out are like wild. And like, I cried for part of it, and I thought the ending though was crazy. Crazy in like the best way possible. This book is so, so good. So good. And I need you to read it because it is so good. I do have some questions about the ending. Like, I need answers. I have an idea on what happened. Like, because it kind of like ends off on something where you can kind of make your own ending in a way. And my Delulu mind wants what is in my brain to be right. So I just hope that Maddie got her happily ever after. She deserved it. And, you know, I kind of think the town deserved what they got. So, good read. I definitely recommend, and I will definitely be looking for more books from this author. And then I have my other September read for the other book club that I'm in, which was The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. I did read The Soulmate Equation. I rated that 5 stars. I love that one. So this is Fizzy's book, and Fizzy was in The Soulmate Equation as the best friend. So this is now Fizzy's book. Fizzy gets her own book. And me trying to remember what the love interest's name is. Connor. So it's Fizzy and Connor. And basically they make kind of like a dating show. Fizzy is a romance author, and this is kind of like her opportunity to control the narrative on like romance. And then she also kind of gets to, you know, find love on this show. So she meets with Connor and they start kind of making like a show. It reminded me a little bit of The Bachelor, except way less people. Way less people. And I really, really like the show aspect of it. Like, I thought that was really cool. Towards the end though, it kind of like fizzles out a little. Like, I don't know, the tension and stuff is just gone, and then it like wraps up really quick. That part made me like deduct a star, so I did rate it 4 out of 5 stars. But this was still really, really good, and I can't wait for the paperback to come out, because once the paperback comes out of this, I'm going to buy a paperback and I'll probably sell this one. I'm a paperback romance gal. If it's a paperback book, it is romance. So, and then continuing on my Christina Lauren kick, I read Dating You, Hating You. Another one that I really, really enjoyed. Christina Lauren is pretty much a pretty good hit author, or authors for me. I enjoy their writing style a lot, and it's very like addictive and it flows well. So this was Carter and Evie's book, and they are basically both from 2 different, I think it's PR agencies. So they are from 2 different agencies that basically combine into one, but they have already hooked up and like are kind of starting to date when they find out that their companies are combining. So they're trying to balance it in between. And then basically stuff starts to get revealed about some people in the company that isn't great. And then they both end up kind of having to compete for the same position. And their boss isn't great. So he is basically like, hey, you know, we could keep you both, or we could only keep one of you. So they basically are under a lot of pressure to not only show their work ethic, but to almost show that they're better than the other in a way. And I liked this. It was very good. I can't remember why I took off a star though. I'm trying to think. Oh, okay. So they essentially you'll start to see like a prank war in this, and just the way they went about some of the things for it being in a workplace setting, I was like, this is kind of immature. But I still loved it. I still rated it 4 stars, and I would still recommend it. Next up we have The Paid Bridesmaid by Sarah Wilson. I really love this cover. And this was Rachel and Camden's book. And I'm not going to lie, this is probably the book that I have the least memory of. And I know I rated it 3 stars. It was an okay read. From what I remember, Rachel is basically, she owns this company that will hire, or She owns this company that if you are looking for a bridesmaid or somebody that you can basically put in charge of the wedding party and like nobody will know that like you basically have this person running the show, that she has people ready to hire for that. And she basically gets hired on for this wedding and she starts going, and that's where she meets Camden. And a lot of things blow up, including some things about her company. It was just okay for me. I just felt like there was nothing to like keep pushing me to read. Like my interest kind of dwindled off a little and it just never fully came back. I still finished it and it was still good, but overall, I don't know, it just wasn't it for me. So 3 stars. The last book that I read this month, but certainly not the least, I have Mile High by Liz Tomford. I rated this book 5 stars. It was fantastic. She is a bit thick, but it was worth every minute of reading this. It was so good. I think I devoured it in like a day or two. And this is Xander's and Stevie's book. Xander plays hockey in Chicago, and basically Stevie is she's a flight attendant for the jet that they use to get game to game, you know? So that's how they meet. And basically Stevie puts Xander in his place because Xander has an ego and it's kind of like, oh yeah, give me this, give me that. Which he does kind of play games with her once he sees that she's like pushing back. And that's kind of where their like tension starts. But then you do get to see like details and you can see that it's not just like surface level when they actually get into it. However, Stevie does not like the spotlight, and obviously Xander's is in the spotlight. So when they decide to actually take this more seriously and kind of the spotlight gets thrown on her, stuff starts to unravel and it's very chaotic. And they both don't have the best family situations either. So those are things that they end up having to work through and stuff like that. It was very, very good. And I already have the second book ready to read because the second book in the series, I can't remember what the title is. It is her brother's book, Stevie's brother's book. His name's Ryan Shea, and I am so excited for this book because you just got to see little glimpses of him throughout this, and I already loved him because of that. And they have a very like close relationship, so that makes me want to read it even more. At 5 stars. So looking at my pile, if I had to tell you what books you need to read ASAP that from any of these you want to take away, it's going to be Savage Lover by Sophie Lark, The Weight of Blood by Tiffany Jackson, and Mile High by Liz Tomford. These are by far my favorites from this month, and I remember most of the details about them, and I would reread all of them because they were all fantastic. Once again, I am so sorry that this is posted a little later, but I'm on it now. We're working through it, and I appreciate you guys if you watch this whole thing. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It does help out the channel, and it does help kind of basically recommend my videos to other people. So it does mean a world to me, and I appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.